And we're live.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to James and Mark Save the World, episode 6. Kind of crazy that we've already done a bunch of these, but we're here for it. I'm excited. How you been, man? It's been a while.
I know. Yeah. What was it? It's been a week.
A little over a week.
Yeah. We've had some delays. I'm good. I started reading. I'm not a big Elon Musk fan. We've discussed this, right?
Yeah.
So I went ahead and decided to go ahead and read Walter Isaacson's biography on him, and I've gotten super deeply sucked into it. Not because he's a good guy. And the first third of the book, I was super annoyed because Walter Isaacson was clearly dancing around subjects about Musk and not being quite so honest about where he got his money from and how he got started and all that kind of stuff, and just sort of ignoring obvious big red flags.
Mm-hmm.
And but the more now, I'm just well, then what happened next? And it's a weirdly compelling book because it's right now I'm in the part about him taking over Twitter, and not a good dude, but I think he means well. He's just a bit of a fascist.
Do you feel like he's, because I feel like I mean, people have talked about this, that they think he's kind of on the spectrum. Do you think?
Well, he says he is. He says he has Asperger's, even though that's not even something people get diagnosed with anymore. He describes himself as having Asperger's, and the book digs into a lot of that stuff about, but it's always used as a get out of jail free card. So whenever he does something insanely asshole-ish, it's well, it's just a part of his personality.
But don't you feel like if he wasn't Elon Musk, that's like if you had a friend, I'll give you an example. If I had a friend that had Elon Musk's exact personality, but was either autistic or had Asperger's, and I introduced you and I was like, hey man, give this guy a break. He might say a few things that are not normal social norms. What would you do? What would you say?
So this is not a direct comparison, but I guess sort of a comparison. If it turned out that we found out that Hitler had Asperger's, we wouldn't be well, I guess it's all right that he killed Jews.
It's so ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous comparison.
I mean, I'm just saying that, someone who does something.
Why do we always have to go to Hitler? Why do we compare?
It was a random, easy example. I mean, just a horrible bastard.
First day of Hanukkah. How
about Bobby Knight?
Okay, great. That's a great example. Thank you.
We'll go Bobby Knight. Bobby Knight won a lot of championships, right? He made a lot of basketball players into better players than they would have been otherwise. Also, he choked kids.
That's also a gross overstatement, but that's okay. I like where you're going.
I mean, I'm just saying he violently attacked children. If we'll phrase it that way. There's video of that. There's direct video of him violently attacking 18-year-olds.
Okay, thank you for being very specific when you said children. he just attacked a group of daycare at like first and second graders. Give me a break. Yeah, when men were men and you can handle criticism, that's when Bobby Knight coached.
Yes, when he violently attacked them and threw chairs at them. And
if he threw a chair at a referee.
Oh, fair enough.
That's what I mean.
I wasn't asking, so
Oh yeah, I mean, listen. Even when he died, I have friends. I'm being serious. I have friends who worked under him, who knew him personally. And when Jay Billis did his eulogy, on ESPN, they were asking, Mike Greenberg asked him about him, and he was just like, "Listen, Bobby Knight and I disagreed on a lot, but he was a good person, X, Y, and Z." So again, it's a better comparison if someone has a specific social, not the greatest norm in terms of how they interact with people or how they interact with people they work for or that work under them. But yeah, can we leave Hitler out of for the first day of Hanukkah?
I am simply stating as your question, your specific question was if a friend of yours had some sort of Asperger, wouldn't you use that to defend them? And my response to that is, since you tried to personalize it, I went the opposite direction and expanded it out to, it's if I had a friend of mine, again, like I've said before, Donald Trump's probably somebody fun to golf with.
Sure,
That
I
doesn't
would.
mean the man should be president, and he
Oh,
should probably also be in prison. There are mobsters that killed people that are probably real fun at a party. Like someone's personality in terms of being friendly, being whatever, or being like that's. I think the results of what they do is probably how we should judge them, which was the point that I was trying to get to.
sure, and
So,
your point, but your point about Elon Musk is like, what is?
you didn't let me finish.
I apologize.
I'm literally saying that, like, yes, total douche, total asshole. He is kind of probably trying to save the world and might actually have a hand in it in a positive way.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
that's the complexity of it. Like the stuff that he's doing with like Neuralink and the fact that it could potentially get a lot of a lot of people that are paralyzed from the neck down to walking again, those kinds of things. Like there should some great things can happen, and the environmental stuff he's doing with Tesla. Like, so again, he may be doing amazing things, but he's also a raging asshole and a piece
I'll give you in a better. I think this is a absolute much better comparison about someone who has done some really good things for like small businesses during the pandemic, but is a complete douchebag, and is Dave Portnoy from Barstool. People hate him. He is an obnoxious, just kind of a piece of shit. But he also, I mean, I know multiple businesses like in my hometown that he saved during the pandemic because he raised money to help pay for their salaries, their kitchen staff. So no one ever talks about that because he's a dick. And that's a perfect example. Like, because if Elon Musk is a complete piece of shit, but on a grander scale, he's helping to try to save the environment, helping to try to, in his words, like try to save free speech on Twitter or now X. It is what it is. I'm okay.
I mean, like, again, I'm not saying the guy shouldn't be doing what he's doing. I'm not saying he shouldn't have the power that he has or those kind of things, though nobody should be a billionaire. What I am saying is that he is accomplishing incredible things, and also he's a piece of shit. Like, it's like that's my only point.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
One does not negate the other, and one does not like forgive the other. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, the only reason why I got on you is because you made the comparison to Hitler, which is silly.
I mean, but the impact in the long term, honestly, that Elon Musk could have on society could be even bigger than what the German Reich had. Theirs in a negative direction, his in a positive direction.
Okay, fair enough.
So, like, that doesn't mean I'm comparing them like Hitler. What I'm saying though is that could be as much of a positive impact based off of worldwide over the next 300 years from what Musk did as there was a negative impact from what the Third Reich did. And that sort of does make them comparable people.
Okay. And your dog doesn't agree. He just booed you.
It's always every time we do this, it's the same crap.
So I was traveling earlier in the week. I was in St. Louis.
Yeah, what were you in St. Louis for?
I was doing some work. What's that?
Stripping? Like,
yeah, I'm a stripper. And what I was going to say is, I don't know if you know this about St. Louis. I certainly didn't know. And if anyone's from St. Louis, if you want to chime in, feel free. Every place I went to for lunch, for dinner, and these were early moments because Central Time, my clock was a little off. So I had to I ate a little earlier every night. And everyone was like, hey, you're not planning on going anywhere after dark, are you? I was like, well, not now. I didn't know. I mean, I knew, listen, every city can kind of have inherent danger. But then I looked it up, and last year, 2022, St. Louis was considered the most dangerous city in America per capita.
Right.
But then you look up FBI crime data, and in 2022, St. Louis had an all-time low crime rate. So there were a couple conflicting reports. So
okay,
I'm curious if you had any thoughts on that, because I just kind of lived it for a few days.
Yeah. Okay. So one, cities like St. Louis, New York, and Chicago are so much safer than they were in like the 80s and 90s. I mean, like, it's not just it's literally like murder rates are like 10% of what they were in the 80s and 90s. So yes, cities like St. Louis are especially now in the last couple of years, crime's up even higher. But I've been to St. Louis, like it doesn't come close to how bad like Brooklyn was in New York in the late 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, not even close. But again, there is still danger. But I think a lot more of it is we live in an echo chamber now where everything gets elevated. Like when you watch the news, you would think that there's this epidemic of children being kidnapped in the world. But again, the number of people being kidnapped is so much lower than it was even 20 years ago. But the media covers it with even more hyper focus. So people perceive it as even more. And if you look at the media in a city like St. Louis, they talk about what's going on in St. Louis the same way you see Republicans talking about Chicago. Like the murder rate in Chicago and blah, blah, and it was all because they wanted to attack Obama. So they started painting Chicago as this unbearable hellscape. But Chicago is way safer than it used to be. Like, I mean, even like late 2000s, like 2008, around the time Obama was getting elected through now, Chicago's fine, especially compared to what it used to be, because it used to be a fucking real nightmare.
No, I listen, I don't know enough about cities that people talk about because they don't live there. So my point is that now I'm literally in one, and people that live there are telling me that. So this isn't Fox News, or I just saw a Fox News report, or like
they watched Fox News, and that's part of why
they live there. What are you talking about?
The
That's
local
silly.
again. Hold on just a second. Let me dog out. Wait.
Yeah, your dog is telling you to think about the stuff that you're saying.
You know what's happened? Yeah, I just figured out what happened. We do this at noon, and that's when my neighbor comes home for lunch and lets their dogs out. And so my dog has to go out and bark at his friends.
No, it's fair. So,
but
listen,
you're right. But the people in St. Louis are getting all the local news and all the local newspapers in most of those mid-major cities are all owned by really right-wing companies.
But let me just say this, and I get what you're saying, but I'm talking about, listen, I'm not talking about sitting in a boardroom talking with executives who watch Fox News because that's their political, they're conservative. I'm talking about going to diners. We went to one kind of fancy dinner, if you will. And these are like waitresses. Like this isn't or bartenders. These aren't like hoity-toity folks. These are people that are trying to make it. And they're not, listen, I don't know about you, but I don't know any waitresses that are watching local media. Do you watch local news? I mean, give me a break, dude. Like, that's not it.
They get on Facebook. They get on Twitter. It's
waitresses that are on Facebook? I don't even think anyone I know under the age of 30 on Facebook.
They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram.
What's
they're on
Twitter.
Facebook. First off, they absolutely are. It's the busiest social media in the world. So many people are on Facebook.
Sure, but they're not actively like getting their news from a 25-year-old is not actively getting their news from Facebook. They may get it from Snapchat or TikTok.
Well, like you're arguing a separation that's not a difference. They're on social media then, and social media, the algorithms are constantly feeding them the worst, darkest information.
Of course, the algorithm does that.
That's what gets clicked on. And so whether it's Facebook or TikTok or Snapchat, it's still the same stuff. So they're being told through the media, and social media is the main media in the world right now. They're being constantly shown the worst possible things happening in their communities.
I agree.
And in St. Louis, the murder rate is, compared to say Greensboro, it is
high. Yeah.
But compared to what that city was like even 20 years ago, it's nothing.
Well, I even look at Greensboro where we live, and like some of the places that now have, vibrant, media nightlifes that I wouldn't have gone to 10 years ago because it was just a really shitty part of town. But now they've kind of completely transformed it. Like South Elm.
You mean gentrified it?
You mean like put businesses in it, like so that people could actually not get attacked? Yeah, look, gentrification. If that's gentrification, then I'm all for it.
You're right, but also just like now, just like in the late 90s, even then, I used to ride my bike. Like when I first moved to Greensboro the first time, it was like 98.
Yeah.
And I rode my roommate and I would get out on our freaking BMX bikes and go like do flatland stuff. And we would go downtown. We would be down on Elm Street. We would be all the areas that everybody swore up and down were these horrible crime areas, but it was just black people. And so the white people were like, this is a terrible part of town. And now it's been gentrified, so they wanted to go in and open up a business there. And
I love how the word gentrified gets used in a negative connotation when it means when literally that area in South Elm, there were 3 murders inside of a month. And so they literally just shut down a business, cleaned out the place, and created like a barcade essentially, right?
Yes.
And then put in breweries. And it's still just nightlife. Like, it's like, are black people not allowed in downtown Greensboro? Like, what are you saying? Like, it's just like they're allowed to. Everyone's allowed to go anywhere.
But what was and again, you're talking about the businesses where gentrification is not nearly as much about the bar that gets opened as the housing that gets bought up and the rent gets doubled. And so the people who lived there, the minorities, the people of color who lived in that area and were populating that area, were a big part of the reason why people, like white people, were calling it a bad neighborhood.
No, I don't disagree with that.
But the reason it's a problem is because it runs people out who have lived in that community for 60 years, and they get replaced by freaking white girls with their Starbucks going, this is mine now. It's,
no, I don't listen.
That's
I'm not. I agree with that, but and if people understood it, like the area that I'm talking about, it's industrial. There was nobody living in the buildings that they've now created businesses in.
Yeah, like, but a block away, there were roadhouses that were torn down.
Okay. And that's a bad thing?
Yeah, because families live there that couldn't.
You don't know that for sure.
I lived here. I rode my bike through there,
bro.
Literally, they're all those townhouses that they've built right on MLK. As soon as you turn off over there by where the chicken and waffle place is, those were all lower income housing that was bulldozed and replaced by those townhouses. And so now the people that live there can walk over to downtown and they go to nice bars, where it used to be right there. That was where some of the poorest people in Greensboro lived. But
there's literally a Hampton Inn that is across the street from Section 8 housing, number one. Number two, there's also a City View, like where college kids and low income families can live for like probably a quarter of what I pay for where I live. Like, it's just not if they knock down some shitty housing, there's other options. Like, there are other options for people that don't make a lot of money that can still live in it. I mean, I don't know. Wouldn't you want to live in a neighborhood that doesn't have a lot of crime? I mean, you don't live downtown.
I would like to live in a neighborhood and not have to worry about the fact that and again, these were all people that were renting. These were all people that were displaced from the homes that their families had been living in for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. The homes were torn down and new houses were built. And those people now, when they used to be able to walk to their jobs at a company downtown, or their janitorial job, or their data entry job, whatever. Now, and they didn't have a car. They were able to walk to work. Now they have to take a 30-minute bus ride because they're in apartments way on the other side of town. Like, that displacing people is an issue. Now, is the long-term good worth it? That's a discussion to have. But people were severely displaced so that they could turn downtown Greensboro into fun nightlife. Versus,
I wouldn't consider downtown Greensboro fun nightlife, but I'm old now.
The area that you think is fun, where the bar.
Well, yeah, because you can actually go there and not get shot. That's basically what I was saying. I mean, come on, that's an area where if in 10 years ago, that was an option to go there, fuck around, and find out. that was 100% an option.
It wasn't 10 years ago. It was like 15 to 20 years ago.
Well, 10 years ago is when the murders happened, but it's okay.
Well, 10 years ago was when the Idiot Box was still a block away from where you're talking about.
I know. And it
was already pretty gentrified at that point.
Yeah. I'm talking about south. I'm talking about down further than that.
I know. But I'm saying, yeah, over there where, Greensboro Community Theater is and all that.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Over the railroad tracks.
I mean, but again, all of that 10 years ago had already been pretty much redone. Yeah. And it's gotten better. It's continued to be more updated and renovated. But I mean, come on.
No, there are positives and negatives in everything in life.
Right.
So, yes, what do I feel bad for people if they were displaced? I mean, shit, dude. 3 years ago, the landlord we had was just like, "Hey, I sold. Do you have a month to get out?"
Right.
And I was not in downtown, but like I had to take my entire family and move to a different place. So, dude, shit happens. That's life.
Right.
Move
And
on. Life's not fair.
Yes, that was something that happened to you. But were you living in a neighborhood that your family had been living in for 40 years, that all of your neighbors had been living in for 30 and 40 years, that there was
No.
community, there was the people next door? Look, you don't know your neighbors very well now.
No,
I don't
like, want to know my neighbors very well.
Point though, when people had community and people did know their neighbors, and you get called into work and you can walk next door and be like, "Hey, Janet, will you watch the kids for me? I got to run into work for 2 hours." Like that kind of stuff. There was like, you and I, we move around. We lived in this part of the country. We moved to that part of the country. So the idea of community and the importance of those sorts of things to you and I, as white guys that can go anywhere we want and be fine, is less valuable than to people who are much poorer than us and more in need of things like community. You and I are fine. We can handle those kind of things because we have the financial resources to sort of buy around them. Like
Yeah, I mean, like that's a misnomer too. Like there are so many poor white people in the world. Like I get it.
I'm not just talking about, look, yes, of course there are poor white people in the world. The way someone in a white person has to live in West Virginia, you could compare to the way that a lot of minorities have to live in a lot of the country. But the majority of white people don't live in that situation.
Okay. Yeah. On to another hot topic. You told me last week that there are no conservatives who are creatives, who are, artists, actors.
Not a good one. Not a single. Not one. Not a great one.
Not a great one. Okay, right. So again, you always move the goalpost with this, which is always.
I said great. Well, let's get the video. So next week I'll get the video from last week where I'll show where I said great.
No, that's fine. But
always
great. Great is subjective. Great is subjective.
Everything is subjective, Mark.
Right. So you can't sit there and say, "Oh, I don't think that person's great," because that's an
opinion.
I'm here that's great. That's
of course I am. Of course I can say that. I'm literally.
So here's a list. We're gonna go. Let me go through this list. Let me go through this list.
All right.
Was Elvis great?
No.
Okay. John Voight.
Not even remotely.
Won an Oscar. Cool. James Woods.
Not at all.
Okay.
You're talking about some of the hackiest, shittiest actors. John Voight has had maybe 2 truly above average performances in his career and a lot of garbage.
Still James a great actor.
Almost all garbage. He's not a great actor though. Okay. You would compare him to Marlon Brando. You would compare.
Marlon Brando. What does that have to do with anything?
Because that's what great means. Like
they've won an Oscar. They've won an Oscar. If you won an Oscar, you're a great actor. If you've won an Oscar, that is the epitome of greatness in the profession of acting. If you win an Oscar, you are a great actor.
We can go through the list of people who have won Oscars that aren't great actors. They had a great performance in a thing and got. Come on,
okay, but that's still being great.
Great actor, but that's not what.
There are a lot of teams that weren't the best team that's ever won, like for that season, but they had a great run. So for that time frame, they were great. Like an underdog story to win an NCAA title or a Super Bowl.
When you have 50 examples and there are 3 exceptions, it's like
There's not 3 exceptions. I have a long list.
Again, the Detroit Pistons, who won a title in the early 2000s, they won a title.
That was a great team.
That was not a great team. That was a good team.
That was a great team. That was a great team. It was yes.
Not even remote. Because
I'll keep going.
Smoked by actual great teams. If they played the 90s Bulls, if they played the modern Warriors.
But that's not reality.
But again, that's what because greatness isn't it like, look, there's a new champion every year. So
right.
You're not saying there are bad champions. You're not saying that if you went through and ranked the 70, however many 50, whatever it is, championship teams, like you can't go through and say that there's some that are worse than others.
Of course you can, but they're still all great because they could achieve the exact same greatness in specific years.
That again, now that is being subjective.
That's not being subjective. The
It's not an objective
2023
fact.
Denver Nuggets, who were a great team last year, winning the title, you could compare them singularly with a 2000 Lakers team, which also won a title. Just that team, that specific team. So the same thing goes when we're talking about artists and creative folks. So John Voight, who is not
so willing to give things more credit than they deserve.
No, but that's what the beauty of this show, which is you are a curmudgeon. But what makes me laugh about this situation is you just wax poetic about the struggles of people who are displaced, and then as soon as I bring up someone that's accomplished greatness, you're like, he sucks.
But again, when I am comparing if you want to compare this to the rest of the world, any person who's ever been cast in a movie,
that's not what I'm doing.
Millions of people. But no, listen to me. Out of the number of people that have been in movies versus the number of people that have won Oscars versus the overall population versus the number of people that have been in movies, then you would say anyone that's ever been in a movie was a great actor, because there's millions of people that would have loved to have been an actor but could never even get in a movie. So that anybody, your scale for where the cutoff is just wrong, in my opinion.
In your opinion, I didn't say any of that, but that's cool. You decided
I know you didn't say that. I'm just making it on scale. I'm scaling your comparison accurately.
Absolutely not. I said John Voight won an Oscar.
Right.
I did not say there's another guy on this list who is a conservative who I think is very funny, but he is not a great actor. He just happens to do funny movies. Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn's
nothing
not
from
a
you.
great actor.
He's not, but he's very funny and he's been very successful. He's also creative. You told me there were no creative. You said there were no good creative or great creative conservative.
Literally, his movies, he's literally even admitted he's just doing Will Ferrell impersonations.
He's great.
He's not great.
He's been successful. What's the problem? Bruce Willis.
I mean, great. No, let me finish. I will agree with you that Bruce Willis is a great action star. He's not a great actor, but he is a great action star.
Okay.
That's like saying Arnold Schwarzenegger is a great actor.
Mel Gibson.
I mean, great. And again, great action star.
Great actor and great director. Won an Oscar for both.
Right. Which point?
My point is that you were wrong. You said there were no great artists. There were no great anything that were conservative. And I've proven you wrong on multiple occasions here.
Because Mel Gibson is not great. Mel Gibson
is a piece of shit, but he is a phenomenal.
Kevin Costner's not a conservative. Kevin Costner had basically the exact same career. Would you call Kevin Costner great?
Yeah, because he won an Oscar for Dancing with Wolves.
You would say he's good, but he's not.
Well, why? But listen, the whole point is you said the word great, so I'm going on great. What I consider great is someone that was the epitome of greatness in a specific. Wait, you're cutting me off. Stop. No, that's not true. If you win an Oscar, you have been voted the greatest in that scenario for that year. So whether you think that La La Land, which I don't think won an Oscar, Moonlight won that last year, whether you think Moonlight was the best picture of all time doesn't matter because they won Best Picture Oscar. So it was a great film in the year 2021.
No one wins an Oscar that's called the greatest actor. It's called the best actor of that year. Now,
but that's greatness. To win the best award, the greatest award in your profession for that singular year is a great achievement. You're parsing words based off of trying to make me sound like oh my God, like everything I see, I think is amazing. No, I don't like half of the people I wrote down. Do you think I fucking love fucking Gary Sinise? I don't give a shit. He won an Oscar. He's a conservative. He's great.
Ironically, Gary Sinise, in terms of actual great acting, would be the closest to a real argument you've had, because that guy is
Jim Caviezel's another one.
Who?
Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus.
Yeah, that guy's a terrible actor, though. Watch anything he's done.
Okay, the movie Frequency.
Sit down and watch the whatchamajig of Monte Cristo. What is it? What the hell was it?
Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah,
That's a hokey movie.
Watch that movie, and you tell me that guy's an even average actor. That guy's a terrible actor,
bro.
Like he's
even Al Pacino and De Niro have done shitty films. Come on,
right.
like that's what I'm talking about. It's so silly.
But name one truly good performance
from who?
Like Caviezel's ever had.
I don't know. He played Jesus and spoke Aramaic.
Not well. Watch that movie. His performance is garbage.
Oh my god, dude, you're insane. I love it.
Make
okay.
the Gary Sinise argument, because the same as I said last week, Clint Eastwood. Like there are exceptions to.
All right, let's get off of actors. Do you think Ice Cube is a great artist?
No.
Okay. One of the most influential hip hop stars of all time. Got it.
Yes,
what about Kanye?
Kanye? I mean, Kanye is mentally unstable, and so that's
not what I asked.
Conservative rabbit hole.
But that's not what I asked.
I have always argued against the idea. Like, I have a joke that I do about the best way for people to call you a genius is to say you're a genius.
Oh yeah, I think he's a moron, but that's not that's not the question.
I mean, I can't think of more than 2 Kanye songs that I would even call good.
Okay, again. So you're also old white man. It's cool.
Right. I can name 20 great hip hop artists.
Give me a great hip hop artist that you would consider.
Snoop.
Okay, but they're on the same level.
Not even close. As a rapper,
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube as an actor, you can argue that Ice Cube as an actor is.
Ice Cube's a good actor, huh? Okay,
he's not a great actor, but I mean, what I'm saying is. You can't come on. You're saying Ice Cube as a rapper is comparable to Snoop.
I mean, they've had similar careers. I'm talking about influential.
All you said was sales, Grammys.
Rolando said Rakim, and I agree. Rakim is a great artist.
Absolutely.
Eric B. and Rakim, my favorite artists of all time. That's a great one. Okay, last one for me. Do you think Seinfeld is conservative?
I mean, but he's not. He's not conservative. He's moderate. He's
okay.
Like Seinfeld's not a
like most of these guys that I listed are moderates.
But that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when I'm making the point I'm making, the right winger. There are tons of. I mean, at this point in time, honestly, you and I are politically what is moderate right now, and we are so far to the left of, like
of Jim Caviezel. That I agree with.
I mean,
also like some of these people are insane, but I just also wanted to make a point about how when you paint with broad strokes.
Yeah, you're usually right. I know.
You're usually wrong. You're 100% wrong. And I've proven that on multiple occasions here, but that's okay.
You haven't even come close to proving it because you still haven't named a single.
Because you'll never give in, which is what I love about you.
But you haven't named a great actor yet.
But I also have.
The closest you got.
No, I got you on Bruce Willis. You almost had a stroke.
No, I said he's a great action star. Bruce Willis is not he is not a great actor. He is a great action star. And those are
I'll remember that the next time a great liberal artist wins an Oscar, because they clearly will be considered great in your eyes.
Absolutely not. I can name just as many not great liberal actors. You think Jennifer Lawrence is a great actress? No.
No, I can't stand her, to be honest with you.
Right. She's won an Oscar.
Yeah, I know, but she's good in what she does. She's been great in following a almost like a path of roles that fit you. It's very similar to a Vince Vaughn.
Is Marissa Tomei a great actress? No. She's won an Oscar.
In My Cousin Vinny, she was fucking phenomenal.
She was funny in a movie.
And Marissa Tomei in The Wrestler was great.
She is not a great actress.
Agree to disagree. Let me ask you this question, because I there's 2 comedians on here. Do you think they're funny? Jim Brewer?
Not at all.
Okay. Adam Carolla?
Adam Carolla was a lot funnier before he tried to become a politician. Because
fair enough.
He's not the smartest guy in the world. And look, there are some brilliant comedians that are stupid. Like, to be clear, there's some incredibly gifted, though I wouldn't say great, comedians that are just absolute morons. But again, if we're talking about great comics, I think there's maybe 4 great stand-up comics in history. Okay. I think there are maybe 10 great actors in history, in terms of great being the absolute pinnacle peak of what he can be. It's the same argument that you and I have about, like, and I tease you about it, about what it is to be a blue blood.
Yeah,
You
it's silly.
have a much lower standard for what you would consider great than what I consider great. There's
that's not true.
Like, there are thousands of stand-up comics in the world. There are probably 300 of them that one could argue is actually good. There are maybe 300 stand-up comics on Earth that are even good. And then there are, at the top of that list, there's 4 to 5 that you could actually call great. And you need an entire career's worth of accomplishments and achievements to make the list of great. I mean,
no, and I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that.
He's won an Emmy. Like, Kevin Hart has accomplished amazing things, but he is unarguably not a great stand-up comic.
You're going to get, but here's the thing: under specific circumstances,
he won an Emmy for his stand-up.
I understand that, but under specific circumstances, I would 100% agree with you that Kevin Hart, as far as a lifetime achievement, is not considered great in terms of the eyes of the stand-up community, if you will, right? But
again, that's my scale for actors too. When I'm looking at actors, I don't think in the same way that Kevin Hart has won an Emmy, which is the highest award you can win for a stand-up comedy special. It is the equivalent of an Oscar for a stand-up is winning. I mean, it is. That is the highest you can get. Kevin Hart has won that twice.
Listen,
he is not great.
You've clarified your stance. You've clarified your stance.
Well, I'm right. See?
No, you've clarified your stance.
Yes,
so in the way that someone like Skip Bayless, who talks about, like, he makes these hot takes about sports in ways that he can never be wrong. So you've essentially made your stance
wrong all the time.
But you're never wrong when we talk.
That's not true. I admit all the time I'm wrong.
That's not true. You are always right.
I opened this podcast talking about something that I was wrong about.
I already forgot it. It was 37 minutes ago.
It was the Musk stuff. I literally opened the podcast being like, hey, you know how we talked about? And I told you something I was wrong about. See, you're never right. It's not that I'm never
Dude,
wrong.
I used to do a podcast that said, I'm happy to be wrong. That was the name of the podcast. So I am.
Well, that's a good name for it.
Yeah, I mean, because people are fucking wrong all the time. And I've proven that you're wrong, at least at this.
No, I literally just proved that I was right. You even went
you just clarified your stance.
I proved that your argument about winning an Oscar is not something that's not true. Use to make somebody defined as great.
I think both things are correct in this respect. That when I look at something by the word great, it means great for that specific achievement, right? So Jon Voight would be considered a great actor. If this was 1979, I think is when he won his Oscar. He was great that year. I mean, same thing with James Woods. James Woods is a psycho, but he is phenomenal in Casino. He is phenomenal in even a shitty ass movie. He literally carries the movie that had it was with Sly and Sharon Stone.
Have you seen Vampires?
Oh, it's terrible. But he was shitty in that. Have you seen the movie The Comedian with Bobby De Niro?
Yeah.
God, what an atrocity that was. But it doesn't take away Raging Bull.
Of course. But again, Robert De Niro doesn't just have Raging Bull. Robert De Niro is someone that you would call a great actor. Because
have you seen the movie? Have you seen the
performances?
I get it.
Fall into that category.
But have you seen something like Jon Voight is an epitome of a character actor now. He couldn't carry a film, this late in his career the way a Bobby De Niro could. But specifically at what he does as a character actor, have you seen what's the Showtime with Ray Donovan? Have you seen Ray Donovan?
Yeah, I had to stop watching it because he was so bad on it.
Oh my God, dude, he got nominated for Golden Globes for that. You're so ridiculous.
He was so bad in that show. And let me rephrase that. Let me clarify because there is more to it. He was so bad because they wrote him as a one-note character. I don't even totally blame him for that.
I think he was great in that.
By the third season of that show, Ray Donovan would have shot him in the head if that was based on anything.
Yes. No, I agree with, but that's the whole fucking point. It's kind of like,
and it was all because Jon Voight was just repeating himself. And it's not. I don't even blame him for that. That's not his fault.
Anyway,
the first season he did, his performance in the first season of Ray Donovan was certainly a very good performance. That does not.
I sat up in my chair because whoa, slow down. His performance in that season was very good.
That does not make him a great actor.
Fair enough. That's the point. Is like your distinction of what great is different than mine. That's where I'll end the conversation.
I have higher standards than you.
That's fine. Did you listen to Chris Stapleton?
I completely forgot. We'll talk about Chris Stapleton next week, though.
I mean, he's doing that Super Bowl halftime show, so you can wait till then if you want.
I mean, now would you say somebody's great because they've done a Super Bowl halftime show?
I think he's great because he's fucking great. Listen to and listen. You know how you should watch these. Next time you get a chance, go down a YouTube rabbit hole, type in Chris Stapleton, Black people's reaction to his voice, and then that may shape your thoughts on him. Just saying.
I'm just saying, my favorite album of all time is Weezer's Blue Album. It is my personal favorite.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the handful of albums that I can listen to over and over from beginning to end, never skip a track. I love that album with a passion that's almost even hard to explain. I do not think Weezer is a great band.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's like, to me, I don't think the movie Footloose is great, but I've probably watched it 1,000 times because I'm a nerd. And I think Kevin Bacon's a good actor. So, it is what it is.
Well, he's incredibly liberal, and I don't think he's a great actor either.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, I think he's, again, that's subjective too. I think he's great in Stir of Echoes. We could do this all day. I want to show you this clip. This is to get us off this topic. Let's laugh a little bit. This. I don't know if you saw this, but this is great.
This better be great.
I think it's great. I'm going to turn it down a little bit so we don't kill people's ears.
Saw coming, the tale of a Queensland woman, a bitter breakup, and at the centre of their galactic split, a Wookiee named Chewbacca.
A 3-year relationship has turned sour. Can's mum, Jessica, dumping her cheating boyfriend. As payback, he's plastered her phone number around town, advertising a Chewbacca roaring competition, promising a $100 prize for the best one.
So I saw this and I was like, I'm gonna clip it because this dude broke up with his chick and this is what he did. This is the news report. So I will just finish it. Then we can.
I mean, we get the joke, but yeah.
Where is this? I'm sorry. Yeah, to the stage. Nope. Sorry. Just kidding, guys. Let's do this.
Well, I'm getting phone calls at really strange hours of the night, about 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Eh? I thought it was quite funny, actually.
The best is when they go through the different people.
Just pull it down, please, and have a laugh for me. And if you want to make a phone call, go for it. I don't mind. Bring it on.
But here's the dark side. Jessica says he's even dumped his car, tires removed.
This is some shit right here.
Blocking her in. Luckily, the force is strong in the far north.
The police got in contact with me.
All right. But how fucking great is that story?
Well, I mean, then you cut off the part where there's actual abuse involved and stuff, and he's trapping her. And, that's look.
You always take it to the victim.
The Wookiee thing is hilarious. I
mean, the guy's a douchebag for doing what he's doing anyway, but that's hysterical. I don't care.
That is absolutely hysterical, and I cannot argue the fact that that's not great. Well, okay,
so yeah, ooh, you almost.
I don't know. That was really funny though.
So speaking of something that, and I texted you about this last week. It was during was it during? No, it wasn't during Thanksgiving. It was after it. So so my wife, who is happy to come on and talk about it another time, I literally was I'm not taking a nap, but I'm laying down on the couch and she's feeding our child. And she said, "Hey babe, can you come stand with the baby, because I just noticed that someone took my identity and is basically starting a bootleg OnlyFans." And just took a bunch of these not racy pictures, her in a one-piece bikini, or one piece, not even a bikini, at our beach trip last March, and just put this whole website together where it's sign up for free, and it's just the most ridiculous thing in the world. So it's so funny because we were talking about what would you do if your wife had an OnlyFans and you just found out about it. So my wife has a fake OnlyFans, if anyone's interested.
I am so I was telling Cass about this, right?
Yeah.
Because it was sort of one of those mind blowing situations. I was telling her about it, and again, she did the sort of wet blanket thing that you do sometimes with it, where I was like, I bet it was somebody at her job that just fucking hates her, and like just really and Cass was like, that's just something that happens to women. It was just some hacker, like online hacker. Like it was like it had nothing to do with anybody knowing who she was. It was just something that happens a lot. It was somebody, it was because that happens all the time. And I was
Did
like,
you tell her?
And then finally I said, wouldn't it be more fun though if it was somebody you worked with? And she was like, yes. So I guess it would be more fun.
But she also doesn't. She has a private Instagram account. Not, I mean, obviously, not invisible to someone that wants to hack into it and all that stuff. But
I mean, how many people follow her on Instagram?
I don't know. I'd have to look.
Is it 30 or is it 400, 500?
It's probably 400 or 500.
Yeah, well, then she doesn't know all. Just because she has her Instagram set to private doesn't mean.
Well, she started to whittle that bitch down. Yeah. I can tell you that. But
like,
so
how did she feel about it? That's my I mean, did she feel violated? Did she think it was funny? Like,
I think she thinks it's funny now. I think she was frustrated. Was probably the prevailing theme. We can get her on one day and she can talk about it. It's just.
I mean, the caption describing what that video supposedly was.
Oh yeah,
pretty graphic.
Pretty graphic stuff, brother.
That's the kind of thing. If your grandma finds that and like thinks that's real,
I mean, if your grandma's going on this bootleg OnlyFans site, then we got another problem.
Her granddaughter's name on Google and like the third link down. Is it that? I haven't.
No, it's not.
I meant to do like follow up research to find out what actually what it all was, but I got as soon as Cass poured a wet
blanket on it. Well, I was planning on doing like jumping on trying to see if I could get on the site because it's apparently for free. I just haven't gotten a chance to do it. So for the next show, I will get a disposable Visa card, and just in case someone tries to take all of my information and jump on this bootleg OnlyFans site and see what the situation is, so I could be like, hey, you're not my wife.
Well, did any part of you have a moment of wait, what the fuck is this? No. There was no part of you that ever questioned any oh crap, did some dude she used to date have a video that he's put though you never even had a moment like that?
No, because my wife is super open with her past and my past, and we've talked about our past relationships openly. So and we've both probably shared too much at one point in a conversation where one of us has been an adult and said, "Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, I don't
need to know any more than that."
Was it her or you that did that?
I think the first time it was her, and then the second time it was me.
Was she trying to demonstrate to you why you had overshared before by oversharing?
Yes, basically. No, but but the funny thing of this is, when she was living in Tennessee, she had another friend named Kathy, or Catherine. So no one called her Catherine; they called her Kitty because that was her nickname. And so that's what the Instagram person took. And so now I just call her Kitty just to fuck with her about this.
What's her ad on Instagram?
I don't want to give it out so that people don't request her.
It's in a private, but is it Kitty or is it Catherine or?
It's Kitty. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, well.
So this person took that name and added extra letters so she wouldn't find it.
It's not
a different spelling.
It's not Chewbacca, but it's
no.
If it was me, I would be mortified if somebody did that.
Oh yeah. But we're also old and fat, and she's tall and beautiful, and so I think part of that is, I think I think the flattered isn't the word, but I feel like if it's gross. It's just gross, to be honest.
Gross is really, it really is the only word for it. It's fucked up. That's a.
And listen, if you're a woman, whether you're a beautiful woman, heavyset woman, whatever, and you want to do an OnlyFans because there's something for everyone, go for it. It's fucking. I mean, it is what it is, man. But just to have someone do it to you and pretend is the gross part.
The closest thing I can think of is back when I was in college, I had a girl who took a picture of my junk when I was in because she told her friends a certain number, and her friend said that's not true. He's not that. It's not that. And so she said no, it is, and took a picture and sent it to her friend. And I felt pretty grossed out about that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was like 21, 22 maybe. It
Really?
was, yeah, it was
21?
like a flip phone, like the first pictures. And again, it was like, I don't know. This was before people really talked about like that kind of stuff, though. Like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think guys were dropping those at that point because it was like pre-social media. So.
Well, you want to know why guys didn't take dick pics back then? Is because those screens were so small, so it didn't fucking. It didn't matter how big a dick you had. You'd be like, what? What is this? Like now, it's everything's in HD. So if you got a hog, like you take a picture of it and you sent it. Like that's the truth, man. Like, could you? I mean, think about. I never took a dick pic with a flip phone. I had a Razor. Dude, come on, man. That's ridiculous. That like, how do you do that? Like, that would be so weird.
I mean, like for yourself. I mean, I don't know. Guys were doing it though. I guess they were like, you get a mirror. Who knows?
I don't know. Do you? I guess.
Do you remember the first time you had a smartphone though, and you actually like took?
I don't.
I used to have a bit about that. It was true. So
I got in 2008, I believe, was the first iPhone for me. I think it's literally was the iPhone 1. I just got like a good new job, and I was like treating myself, and then I remember the case. It was huge, and like how thick the phone was. But yeah, it's just crazy. But I don't remember taking a lot of pictures. I think you're right. Like we're also old enough to have missed the. I don't know. I shouldn't say this about you, but I'm old enough to have missed the online dating craze where like people were sending each other, DMs and shit like that. Like, I was.
Well, no, you're not old. Like you could have, had you wanted to, after your first marriage ended, before you met Catherine, you could have gone deep on Tinder because that's like before.
Yeah, but I didn't.
Like Tinder had been around for a little while, and I mean, that was a beautiful thing for about a year.
Yeah, I didn't do it, and I think I was first off very happy to be divorced, but it wasn't one of those things where like I was devastated by it. I was, but definitely did not want to go down that rabbit hole, dude, because I was not in a place where that would not have been healthy. I was already doing a lot of unhealthy things, and adding sex with multiple women on multiple nights would not have been a good thing.
I don't know.
I mean, listen,
you'd never make it as a comic on the road, man. That is a single one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man. Definitely, I don't know. I have friends who have used it, and like I never really went down that road.
Well, I because when it first came around, when like Tinder and all those first came out, I was like, that's terrible. And then one night I was at a show and Jordan Fisher was doing jokes about it, and I was like, well, what is it? And so I went and looked it up, and then like actually I was like, well, I'll try that. And then just immediately it was like, and I was like, oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I literally have only seen it through like friends, like, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
So,
but so Catherine's cool though. Like
she's fine. It was a minor, frustration.
Yeah.
And there's just a mountain of jokes, which is the best.
Yeah.
Because whenever she's when she's not in the room, I'm like, hey, what are you doing back there? What are you shooting a video?
You making videos for your
you making videos for your OnlyFans?
For your lonely fans?
Lonely fans. Yeah. No, I mean that's 1,000% what's happening. Like she'll send me a text message at work that has even a remote sexual connotation, and I turn it into that site.
Was this for me or was it for your
Yes, exactly. Did you mean to send this to me or your OnlyFans?
I'm just telling you, start referring to it as her lonely fans.
Lonely. Yeah. No, that's I don't even want to get into some of the stuff I had on here because it's a great way to kind of just not necessarily close it out. But so I'm going to remove one video. We'll save it for next week. But I do want to challenge you, Mr. Hodge.
All right.
You and I have both fluctuated with weight multiple times.
I'm bad.
We
right now.
are. Yeah, me too.
I'm the most me there's ever been right now.
I
me.
am not. I joked around because I know a fellow comedian friend, not friend, but fellow comedian that you know, colleague, Bert Kreischer is kind of doing that. He's downsizing, so to speak, right? He's went from 270 to 232. I believe he posted something and everyone's like, oh, he looks great. Dude, I'm Bert Kreischer right now. I'm 232 pounds.
Same, exact same.
So, and I look similar to that, if you will. Like I have good shoulders, like arms, but I have a nice little belly that I'm trying to get rid of. So my question to you is, will you do a challenge with me? We'll wait till after Christmas because it's stupid to start now.
Right.
And just I'm going to do a dry January. If you're interested, weed doesn't count. To kind of.
So is it a
jumpstart it?
Is it a just drop weight, or is it a bull? And because like what I've like the thing is for me right now, because the thing that if I try to lose weight and I try to add muscle at the same time, it doesn't go well. But I can lose a pretty quick large amount of weight fairly quickly, and then after that, I can turn around and pile a bunch of muscle back on. But
yeah, no, it's totally
I end up doing neither.
It's totally just a
quit. So
quote unquote biggest loser style.
Yeah.
You know, like we're just talking about weight loss. We're not talking about, because I'll be honest with you, man. Like I don't need to get bigger. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but like my muscle structure is fine. I have no issue. If I gained 20 more pounds, I'd feel really fat, and I'm not going to do that. So if you're down, I'm down to kind of do that. I mean, I'm doing it anyway, so I'm just wanted to join.
Yeah. So like starting December 26th.
Yeah.
Like and then what are we going to do? So we'll do a percentage of overall weight.
Yep. Okay. We're similar body size. You're a little taller than me.
You're a little bit shorter than I am, but you're also
with shoes on.
You're definitely both of us. Well, if I put on shoes, then I still stay ahead of you.
Someone at my office in St. Louis said, "Oh, you're like 6 foot," and I said, "I'm wearing boots." And I was like,
even in boots, I don't think you're 6 foot. Are you?
No, I was dead serious. When I wear my Timberlands, I'm 100% because I'm 5'10". Those are an extra 2 inches, easy.
But you're not 5'10".
I'm literally letter of the law, 5'9"3/4.
You're like 5'8", dude.
I'm not. I've literally got a physical 5'9" 3/4
with shoes on.
No, flat footed.
All
that's right. That's why I put 5'10" on my license, because I'm never gonna go out with no shoes on unless I'm at the beach, bro.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so we'll weigh in and we'll do just percent of overall weight. So if like between now and then, because I think I'm right at 232 right now as well.
Yep.
So who knows what I'll be in 2 weeks. So whatever that number is, the percentage of that. So it's not who loses 30 pounds. If you weigh more, like if one of us weighs more than.
And we could do it with a lot of these places. You know, the gym I go to has one of those like things where you can like stand on it and put your thumbs down, and like it'll give you your whole like body mass index.
Yeah.
So if you want to do it that way it's like it's scientific. It's not like, well, I measured my arms with my, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about any of that. My whole point is the way we should do it, to me, I think, is like if you're 232 and I'm 230, you don't have to lose 2 more pounds than I do, is all I'm saying.
Right.
That's why I'm saying it's not percentage. So if you lose 30 pounds and I lose 30 pounds, even if you still weigh 2 pounds more than me,
right,
it's still a tie.
No, I got you.
That's because I don't want to, I want to clarify that, because I don't want it to be an argument where later on afterwards you're like, I lost 8% of my blah blah blah, and you lost 7%. Something like, I'd like this to avoid, and I would make the same argument if I thought it would give me a win. So that's why I'm saying we established the rule up front. It's just how many pounds did you lose?
That's fine.
Percentage of your overall weight.
So this is the first workout. You ready?
All right.
The fuck is he doing? What is he training for?
Like, that doesn't even count because he's swinging his body anyways. It's not; those aren't even. I mean, that's just a thing to do to, I guess, because he thought it looked cool.
I mean, that's hard to do. I don't give a shit what.
No, it's
the whole
absolutely
fucking.
hard to do. Like, don't get me wrong, that's hard to do.
But that's the first workout, bro. I'm kidding.
How many pull-ups
but,
can you do right now?
How many pull-ups can I do right now?
Yeah.
I could probably, if I really struggle, I could probably get to 10.
I'm thinking right now, with as fat as I am and as little effort as I put in for the last year, that I would probably cap out closer to like 6 or 7.
And that's probably more conservative and fair. And I think also too, like, I'm not making this as an excuse. Like my shoulders have been the first thing right now to deteriorate. Like all of the arthritis and bursitis from sports and everything. Yeah, I would say
probably 6 or 7. Out a solid like 20, 25 pull-ups, like not like without even thinking about it.
Honestly, man, that's always been my biggest struggle is pull-ups because of shoulders. But as far as like if you talk about like squat or bench press, those have always been a little easier, which is rare because it's you're using your shoulder muscles for your bench press too. But
when I was in high school, we they had this thing for the guys that lifted at school called the Ironman, where could you get 1,000 pounds in 3 lifts? It had to be between a squat, a deadlift, and a bench. Like you had to total those 3 up, and however you did it, it had to exceed it had to match or exceed 1,000 pounds.
Yep.
And that was my like near the beginning of my junior year, I got my Ironman t-shirt and I got to walk around. And that was one of those moments, one of the few times in high school where you actually get to feel like, yeah, because very few guys got that.
Well, that's a very impressive thing. And I'm proud of you.
You could do that right now, though, couldn't you?
Easily.
Yeah.
And it's not even because I'm bragging. It's like because
no,
if I took off lifting for a year, I still could do squats at a high level because my legs have always been big. And so, I mean, the most I've ever squatted for like 1 or 2 reps is over 500 pounds, like 525. But that was like when I was probably 20, 21.
Yeah.
Now I don't think I would go above 315 just because I wouldn't want to like blow a fucking knee or an Achilles or something stupid.
I think I capped out at around 4. I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time. I think I capped out around 4 with squats and deadlifts, and I was benching what was it? 255. I think is the highest I got to. And so, but that was a long ass time ago. Right now, I would be happy if I could push up 2 plates.
Yeah, I think that's my max right now. Yeah. I don't even go that way, but just based off of if I go to the gym and do chest, I'll put up like 205 for 7, 8, 9, something like that. But that would easily translate to a couple of 225s. But that's the thing, man. Like with this whole like weight loss challenge, basically just trying to jumpstart it. I don't care about getting bigger. I don't want to be thick. I don't want to be thick. You know what I mean? Because I already am.
I gotta get like almost more just aerobically
leaner, just leaner.
Just I gotta get to the point that I can freaking walk like up a couple of flights of stairs and not just be like shit. Like that's my thing. It has surprised me over the last month about how insanely out of shape I've gotten. Like to the point that I like, and that's what happens to me. Like every 2 or 3 years, I'll like it'll get real bad, and then I'll go, all right, I'm gonna get serious about it, and then I'll drop 30 or 40 pounds, and then I'll celebrate by putting on 5 more pounds than I'd lost. So
right. No, it's definitely an easy cycle to have happen. But before we go, I have to give you some funny news. At least 3 people have texted me. You're definitely 5'8".
To you? Yeah, you're 5'8".
Just buddies are just busting my balls. Old tennis friends, just guys that just to give you, and they all wrote LOL after it. So just to give you more.
Well, I'm glad everybody watching. Well, it's so funny because like I've got the whole joke about Cass and I both being 5'11", right?
Yeah.
Like what 5'11" means for her is that she's 5'11", and what that means for me is that I'm 5'10" and a quarter. But
right, so. Yeah. Listen, man. Like I said, I never not wear shoes, so I'm not 5'8" unless I'm laying down. All right, dude. It was a good show. what we learned today is that we have different perceptions of what the word great is.
Yes.
And
Very good.
I do want to get into a debate as a tease next week. I know it's not. It's something that we can talk about. So if you haven't heard about it or seen it, watch the trailer. I don't expect you to watch the movie because I'm not paying for it. The conservative website Daily Wire did a movie. You heard about that?
I did.
Okay. Called Lady Ballers.
Yeah.
And I actually had a clip that I thought was very kind of like middle of the road. So they're
I
going.
look, my thing is this: I don't have any issue with them making.
Oh no,
that movie. Like,
I don't either. That's not the point. Like I was just gonna say, we'll talk about it next week because there's a solution to all of this stuff, and we're gonna talk about how we save people's stupidity and anger over this issue next week. So prepare yourself.
Oh, all right. So are you gonna watch that movie?
I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Like,
But I'm saying like
let me know if it's actually funny or not. Honestly, my biggest concern with it is that it's not going to be funny. Like the most quote unquote offensive humor in the world to me is usually the funniest humor. It's just I don't know if I trust the Daily Wire guys to be the ones that nail that.
Yeah, no, I think but I did hear a good point about how, for the most part, if the left is going to be the ones who are, policing the what's funny and what's not, and a lot of that gets pretty wonky, then the right is kind of going to do their version of it. Whether you think it's funny or not is another story.
The same thing. Like, I don't know if you like Ben Shapiro, who runs the Daily Wire. He actually did an interview with one of my favorite YouTubers. Is this guy, not because I agree with him, but because he is genuinely funny, is this guy, The Critical Drinker, where he just does like drunken movie reviews, but occasionally he'll throw in something pretty insightful and funny into his reviews. And also just a lot of like whining, just a lot of sort of conservative whining and complaining about how movies have all been ruined now by the message and wokeness and all that. So it's a lot of that, but there's also occasionally some really funny jokes mixed in.
Okay.
So that cracks me up. But he interviewed Ben Shapiro, and they talked about like the Daily Wire is basically gonna take over the wholesome child entertainment stuff that Disney's sort of given up on because they decided to go more like far to the left. So,
well, it's begun. And whether or not that, I don't think Lady Ballers is wholesome, but
no, but that's the thing. It's like they're doing both ends of the.
They're doing everything, yeah. Well, they're also doing a. I listened to a podcast the other day where they're actually doing like a sci-fi. I forget the books. I'll look it up, but it's kind of like a Lord of the Rings ish. So it's a huge production. So listen, there's room for entertainment everywhere. If you can't find something to watch on TV or the internet these days, then there's something wrong with you because there's something for everybody. There really is.
I said last week, the best argument against the point I made is Clint Eastwood, and some of the greatest movies ever made were made by Clint Eastwood, and that guy is a hardcore Republican douche. So, like I said, there is an exception.
There's always an exception. That's the whole point.
But he is still, out of everybody you named, he's still the only one that I would call a great artist.
Okay, fair enough. Well, on that note, great show. We saved the world for the sixth time, six-time champions. And we'll see you next week.
You're welcome, guys.
You're welcome, everybody. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, man.